Oh, I guess so. I guess I can consent again.
Right. Well,
So I guess we're live, aren't we?
yeah. Thank you for consenting to watching this video.
Yeah, there you go. So welcome back, all the foodies, all the boozies, the smokies, and all the dessert people. This is the BDSM podcast, and I am Professor Porkloin with my co-host here.
The Meat Viking.
So we're going to continue our journey around the United States. And we're going to talk about Arkansas, which I have to laugh because when you look at it, you think it's actually Arkansas because you have Kansas and then you have Arkansas. Why is it called that instead? We call it Arkansas. So
Do
English
people
language is
from
a
Arkansas
funny.
call it Mikensaw?
I don't know, man. But we're gonna continue along with that, and hopefully you'll learn some things. But I guess the first thing to say is what's in the cup.
I am drinking New Belgium's Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA.
I have had that one, so I think that's a pretty good beer. What's the ABV on that one again?
7.5.
That's not a bad deal. So what's the note on that one? You get a little citrusy on that, or you have a lot of
Very
hops?
tasty. Packed with bright tropical aromas and brilliant citrusy flavors. Unfiltered IPA wraps up with a pleasantly smooth finish. And I would say that, summertime's right around the corner. A beer like this would go good when you're doing some yard work.
Ooh, yeah, but I would need something that would probably go down a little bit smoother.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
When I'm outside mowing the lawn or something that's really hot, like I want something that I'm just going to be able to chug just to get my thirst. I think with something like that, I'll be dehydrated. I get chugged. I'll get drunk before I do anything else.
That's fair.
But I was at the liquor store and I figured I had to get this one because it caught my eye. It's called Snozberries.
Nice.
So it's a sour. I usually don't do sours, but it's got pineapple, cherries, and oranges. And I had to buy it because of the name. I mean, for anybody that has watched Super Troopers before, this is like one of the first parts of the movie when the dude takes all the edibles and he takes the weed and he's like, the snozberries taste like snozberries. And then he
Yep.
starts licking the window. So this is actually pretty good, to be honest with you. It's pretty tart, but I like it. I think it's a good one.
Nice.
But yeah, snozberries tastes like snozberries.
Well, good. And for those of us in the smoking category, I am smoking the Apex from Good Cigar Company. It's a nice, mild, creamy cigar. Um, let's see. I want to say, God damn it, I just lost it. Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. Nicaraguan Cojiro 99 binder. As well as in the filler of the cigar, followed by some Cirillo 98 grown tobacco.
Not a bad deal. What are the notes on it?
Very mild. I don't really have like any notes other than this tastes like a smooth, mild cigar is the best way to put it. Like I'm not getting any nuttiness. Just kind of like fresh and earthy tobacco.
All right, not a bad deal.
No.
I had one of those acid blondies yesterday. That
Oh,
was that was a pretty smooth one, very light. I
mm-hmm.
smoked that one pretty quickly though. It went by pretty quick.
Yeah. Blondie is a good brand, especially if you're a new smoker because they tend to be shorter cigars.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say that my favorite from them are the cold infusions and the Cuba Cuba or Cuba Deluxe.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. So we have a safe word for today, and I think it kind of goes along with the state and even just the BDSM style of it. So we had decided that the safe word is going to be Clinton.
And you all can be our Monica Lewinskis.
Yes. Oh man, it feels so wrong saying it, but it feels so good, doesn't it?
You know, nobody ever said we're right here.
That's also true. But I guess we can get right into it. So the first thing that I saw that is a pretty good thing within Arkansas is Grapette soda.
Okay.
Now, I have never even heard of this before, but apparently this is started in Arkansas back in the late 30s, maybe early 40s, by a guy named Benjamin Fuchs, which I had to laugh at that one too, because
Oh,
I got to think about some British guy being like, "Oh, you fucking nasty bitch," like something like that.
it's reminds me of Austin Powers, the third movie. I think it's Goldfinger, or yeah, Goldmember. And there's like those Japanese twins, and one is named
Uh,
Fuki, and the other's name is Fukyu.
yeah,
Yeah, and there's a
fuck
whole skit
you.
about it. Yeah.
But I guess this guy was a salesman and he was traveling around and he was selling products for his own name called Fuchs Flavors. And he had this grape flavor that apparently was super popular. So he decided to say, "Hey, I'm hating the stuff that's already on the market right now. I'm going to make my own."
Sorry about that. I'm back.
All right. So yeah, I guess he was dissatisfied with all the stuff that was around, and he decided to make his own. So he wound up developing this flavor, and it was apparently superior grape flavor to all the other grape flavor sodas that were on the market. And then he decided to pair up with some other guy and say, "How can we, market this? What's the name of that?" And they wound up coming up with Grapette. And he had other drinks too. He had Orangeette and he had Lemonette, which I have never heard of any of these.
No, the
But
only Ed I've ever heard of is Joan Jett.
yeah, but apparently this was like a really popular drink, especially in Arkansas and even southern, around those southern states, all the way up until like the 70s. And then he wound up selling it. And it kind of went from really popular to dying down, and it kind of got sold by a couple different companies. I think at one point Pepsi wound up buying it, but then they were told that Pepsi had too many different soda varieties that they had to divest some of them because they were kind of becoming a monopoly at that point. So they kind of got rid of it. And then surprisingly enough, Walmart actually picked up this thing. So it is now considered one of Sam's Choice, like that Walmart brand. So if you go to Grape Soda and buy that off out of Walmart, you are essentially buying Grapette,
Well,
which
interesting.
didn't even know that, man. But apparently, again, through all the hardships they had, the guy died, in the 70s ish anyway, or the 80s, and they wind up selling it all. But it's kind of interesting how this whole thing from Arkansas started there, and then now it's known, but it's only known through Walmart, and it's through Sam's Choice. So Sam's Choice grape is what you're going to get if you ever go to Walmart. Any of the people there, and try it. I don't know if I'll buy it, but Grapette, that's a big Arkansas thing.
Now, is this region locked to Arkansas only, or if I were to go where I'm at to Sam's Club or Walmart and buy their grape soda, am I getting the same thing?
I think you're getting the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because Walmart is all over the country, they have basically taken that recipe and made it through the whole entire thing. So if you get the Sam's Choice grape soda, again, you are basically buying Grapette, which started in Arkansas.
Well, shit.
So what did you come up with? What's something that you found?
So, because I don't want to get into the yummy, tasty deliciousness of us men who love desserts, I'm going to kind of continue your path, and we're going to add a little alcoholic twist on it.
Okay.
And apparently, from the heartland, using grains from Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma, but finished and bottled and brewed in Arkansas, we run into something called Smith Works vodka.
Ooh, okay. I don't think I've ever heard that.
And I haven't either. Um, And also, for those lighter days, they have Smithworks Hard Seltzer and Lemonade, which is like you got your classic lemonade, a strawberry, a peach tea, and a lime variety. Now these hard seltzers you can only find in certain states. Um, Looks like Colorado, Georgia, Idaho, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Montana, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Texas, Wisconsin, and Arkansas.
Seems like that's a decent amount of states.
Yeah, I mean, like, quite a bit.
I wonder what the vodka tastes like. You know, like, oh, they always say that vodka is supposed to be that flavorless spirit, which I don't think that's true. I always tasted whatever it was for me.
Yeah.
But I feel like vodka is versatile, that you can mix it with just about anything and you'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder what it sells for. Do you know? Do you think that vodka sells for like $20, or is it a little bit more pricier?
Let me see if I can pull up an MSRP while I'm looking at infusions real quick. Smithworks vodka. Apparently, you can get it at Sam's Club. And also, side note, celebrity sponsorship here for Smithworks. Blake Shelton is part of their team.
Oh, so it's got to be somewhat decent then. I don't think he would put his name behind something that's shitty.
No, and it's also going for an MSRP around $18.99 a bottle.
All right, so it's your
mid-range,
lower to mid-range, I guess.
Yeah. However, going with some Southern heat here, I want to talk about an infusion that they do where they take 10 parts of Smithworth's vodka to 1 part of jalapeno sliced into wheels.
Oh, okay.
And you build it in a non-reactive pitcher and you let it infuse 2 hours overnight. And then if you want to make it stronger, you strain and rebottle it.
So it's kind of like making a different vodka using that one.
Correct.
Like I remember at the bar when I used to do that a long time ago, we would do Skittles vodka, and we'd essentially take all the Skittles in different colors and put them all into one, and then just let them sit and soak for a couple days, and then strain out all the pieces, and then you'd have your flavored Skittles vodka.
Right. And for the recipe for this, that I would try, because it sounds both like it's got that hit and it's also got some refreshingness into it. You take 2 parts of this jalapeno infusion that you've made, 3/4 parts of honey syrup and 3/4 parts of lemon juice.
Interesting. I wonder what that tastes like. I wonder how spicy it is.
Yeah, like I said, it's something I would try.
Yeah, I'd give it a shot. It probably wouldn't be my favorite thing because I don't usually mix very spicy stuff with alcohol.
Well, and then that's where we could get into, do you want to go fruity or more classic?
Let's go fruity first and then take it around to the classic.
Okay. They have a strawberry basil infusion you can do, which is essentially, again, you start with your 10 parts of Smithworks vodka, 3 parts of strawberries, 2 parts of basil leaves.
Okay, that sounds a little bit better. Yeah. I could see how that could be a little bit more versatile.
Now, instead of letting that sit for 2 hours, you let it sit for 6 hours.
Yeah, you do shit all night for that one.
Yeah, and then essentially what you're going to do with this is you're going to take 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 parts of this strawberry basil infusion to 4 parts of limeade. And that right there might be your, as you said earlier, non-dehydrating version of doing some yard work.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit better.
Yeah. And then for those of us who like the best of both worlds, they have an apple pie infusion. Now, this one's going to take a little bit more ingredients. Again, start off with your 10-part Smithworks vodka, 1 Honeycrisp apple sliced, 4 cracked cinnamon sticks, 1 star anise, and then 1 thing of orange peels only. well, sorry, one orange, but only the peels, right? And then you put all of that in a large mason jar. You're going to seal it and refrigerate it for 3 to 5 days. Strain out everything, and then when you get everything all done, you're going to want 2 parts of this apple pie infusion, 3/4 parts of lemon juice, half part honey, half part club soda.
That seems like that would be something that you can heat up and have on like a cold
Oh yeah.
night,
Yep.
where it's snowy or where it's just cold and muggy. You can
Mhm.
add that and kind of have a nice warm night.
Yeah. That
Ice.
right there is grandma's cough medicine.
Yeah. Although I could see that kind of being a little refreshing too. You put it over some ice, maybe
Oh
with a little bit of some ice cream or something on the side, and have that as kind of like a boozy dessert.
yeah.
That sounds like a pretty good shot on that one.
It sure does.
So I think the cinnamon would probably stick out a little bit.
Yeah. Now
But
out of those 3 options that we gave, what ones would you try, foodies? Would you go for that jalapeno mix, or would you go strawberry basil, or the good old apple pie style?
I think if I wanted to rank them myself, I'd probably go with the apple pie first, then do the strawberry basil, and then have the spicy at the bottom. Because again, I'm just not the spicy person when it comes to alcohol.
That's fair.
So I'm not a big fan of Bloody Marys. Like I'll drink them, but they're not my number one thing to go.
Right.
So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep.
Well, I got something that could probably go pretty well with some of those drinks, and it's actually pretty iconic for Arkansas, and it's called the garden sandwich.
The garden or garbage?
Garden,
Okay.
like it's a vegetarian sandwich, and it has no meat, so it's all garden stuff. And I guess back in the late 70s, there was a guy, Jimmy, and he had an idea for a sandwich and kind of said, "Hey, let me see what happens. I'm gonna put this together." And he entered it into a contest, and he just named it the Garden because it essentially was just vegetables, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so this national sandwich contest was one of those contests that brought the Reuben onto the scene. Man, I love Reubens. So
Oh yeah.
Reubens are delicious. Corned beef, or even I've had turkey Reubens before. Those are pretty good. But so he thought that he would go, okay, I'm going to enter the sandwich in here and we'll see what happens. Well, he wound up actually winning that contest, and it became a pretty good legendary sandwich. So at the time, he had a restaurant that was called Out to Lunch, and he had another one that was pretty similar called Blue Plate Special. And he wanted to take this sandwich idea and grow it into something bigger. So he wound up building something called Jimmy's Serious Sandwiches. And he put it in between the University of Arkansas, their medical science campus, which was by a hospital. So, I mean, man, those people are going to be your main customers at that point. And the place is still there, and he actually has the recipe up on the wall for anybody to try. It's not like a proprietary thing. It's saying, hey, I'm going to give you the recipe. So when you go into that sandwich shop, it's right there, and you basically have spinach, alfalfa sprouts, mushrooms, and there's a couple other things that you can customize it to. But every day, they sell a bunch of these sandwiches.
Hmm.
So I feel like I would probably want to try it. Um, but I feel like I would also want to add meat to it.
Yeah, like I'm very far from vegetarian. I will be the first to admit that. But you know what? Sometimes something comes along that piques my interest, and I will admit the garden sandwich sounds like it could be an interest speaker. And if you want to keep it still vegetarian but add like a meat-like texture, you could always grill up some cauliflower and do it that way.
Yeah, I think um, I would probably put it on like rye bread.
Oh yeah.
I think rye would probably be or maybe like pumpernickel or something along those lines,
Yep.
just because I think that would give that extra flavor to the alfalfa sprouts, the mushrooms. I think there's mayonnaise on it, green onions. So I think that kind of put it all together. I just don't think a good white bread or like a sourdough bread would really do this justice. Maybe like a jalapeno salad bread, but I think a rye or a pumpernickel would probably be the best one to eat with this sandwich.
I'm gonna Clinton you again real quick and just say off topic that rye bread is probably the most underappreciated of the bread groups.
You didn't have to Clinton for that one, man. You could have easily said that. So I don't know if the sandwich is grilled. I don't think it is. I would totally put it on a flat grill. Maybe throw a little bit of some butter on there.
Mm-hmm.
Let that get some of that rye bread or the pumpernickel and just let it kind of toast out and then, heat everything up. But I would probably eat it just normal too. I'm all about the experimentation and seeing if the thing's good or not. Because a couple weeks back I made some extra bread, like not cornbread, but like vanilla cake. And what I wound up doing is I put some butter on it and throw it on the skillet, let it, just crust. And I chopped them up into little pieces and had that as some breakfast with some syrup. So I feel like doing the same thing with that sandwich, putting some butter, getting a nice toast on it, melting things down would be just as good.
Now, I wonder in this sandwich if it's like, I'm gonna assume it has to be. Some of these ingredients need grilled.
I would think so. The mushrooms.
Yeah. I mean, granted, you can eat raw mushrooms, but
yeah, but I think grilled mushrooms are way better in flavor.
Oh yeah.
So I think there's another one that goes along with it, and that's called the hubcap burger.
Ooh.
So apparently Cottom's Mercantile has been a pretty long standing thing within Arkansas. And so this apparently burned down a while and they haven't had it, but other places have kind of started picking it up. But back in the 80s, the old President Bill wound up going to one of these places along with David Pryor and some other famous people. Burt Reynolds was in there in the 70s. And it made it the place to go. Even the dude from Man vs. Food. You remember that show?
Yeah.
Yeah. He wound up doing and taking on what was called the quadruple hubcap. And it was featured way back, I think in 2016 or 2017, something like that. But the hubcap burger is essentially like the size of a hubcap, essentially.
Oh, wow.
But
that's a big burger.
That's a big burger. And it's funny. And when we get to Texas, we'll talk about Whataburger because Whataburger is like the huge thing down here too. But I feel like the hubcap burger would just demolish that. And to have a quadruple one, I don't even know how many pounds of meat that is.
Well, now, somebody who lived in Texas, I had my fair share of Whataburger. I don't remember their sandwiches being that big.
I mean, not the big of a hubcap, but
yeah.
Their burgers were a lot bigger than McDonald's.
Oh, yeah. Well, it also helps, too, that, like, most of Whataburger's stuff is, like, served on Texas toast.
Yeah.
So you have, like, good quality, for lack of a better word, bun on that versus your little sesame seed that McDonald's gives you and little Jimmy working on the fast food line. Like putting everything together, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I would certainly give it a try, but I do have to say, and this is not a little off topic, but it kind of is. But when I was driving through Arkansas the last couple of times, it is boring as hell.
What would you say is worse, driving through Arkansas or driving through Ohio?
Arkansas by far.
Really?
Yeah. Arkansas, at least the way that I went, as you go through, right before Little Rock, it is nothing, man. Like you are not looking at anything. At least in Ohio, you can look at farmland. You can look at what other stuff that's going on. But dude, going through Arkansas, until you hit Little Rock, you are looking at just basically a divider that whole way through. The roads are horrible.
So.
But you have a dessert that you found, right?
I have not one,
not two.
Wait, no, let's preface this because I'm not really sure here. All right, I need a native to tell me. And unfortunately, I have a very small friends group, so I don't have a native from Arkansas. Um, but Southern biscuits and chocolate gravy is an Arkansas favorite and a special breakfast treat for all ages. Tender, flaky Southern buttermilk biscuits are smothered in a rich homemade chocolate sauce for a wonderful, unique way to start the day.
So let's stop you there, I guess, because you have to realize that it's not gravy. Like when you think of gravy, you're thinking of, hey, there's using fat, you're using maybe drippings from whatever meat that you're doing, you're putting in some brown, like pepper and things like that. Is not that type of gravy. So I don't know why they call it chocolate gravy, probably because of biscuits and gravy and you get that similar thing, but it's more associated with like the chocolate sauce or even like the chocolate hard sauce that you can put over ice cream. Like that's where you're getting that chocolate gravy, and I'm putting that in quotation marks. But
Yep. And actually, in terms of texture, it's called gravy for a reason, but it has that silky mouthful of a gravy rather than being runny like a sauce or sticky like hot fudge.
yeah.
So,
But I
and
guess if you're in the South, I guess this is one of those things that people just throw on biscuits and they eat it for breakfast in the morning.
yep. And as far as the ingredients you need all-purpose flour, sugar, cocoa powder, butter, vanilla extract, and milk.
So one of the other things that I think kind of came along with this, because this, you know, we talked about chocolate before. We talked about, Reese's and Hershey's and all that other stuff. I think this kind of started more when Hershey had their own little thing coming down with the powder. I think that's
Okay.
kind of how that started. I think they wind up, the South, they have the milk, they have the sugar, they have everything, a little bit of some butter. And what they would do is take some of that chocolate powder and throw that in there. Because I mean, when you have toast and everything, you have milk, like you'd want to have that kind of chocolatey part to it as well. And I think people back then maybe dunked their toast in, and I think it just manipulated from that, where it was like, hey, we're going to add this to make it a little bit thicker, and then we'll pour it over toast or pour it over biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong on that. I don't know, but I think Hershey powder definitely had an influence on the of the gravy, the chocolate gravy.
I think I can see where you're coming from on that. But like I
Yeah.
said, though, for me, like if I'm going to be craving something sweet and salty at night, I could do this for dessert, or if I have a hangover in the morning, I could probably do this for that.
Oof. I would
So
want something greasy. I don't know if that would fit the hangover motif for me.
I don't know.
Yeah, I usually want something greasy. Get some bacon, get some sausage or something like that. I don't think chocolate gravy would hit the spot.
Man, you remember when you and I used to go and get hangover food?
Oh, of course, man.
And occasionally we would go to that diner and they had like this bowl that was like coated with an egg and then had like sausage and gravy in the middle and then hash browns on top of that and bacon. Ugh.
I think the other ones were Chinese buffet. I think
Yep.
that was the other hangover day.
That was the other one. That was when we were so hungover we couldn't wake up till like noon.
Yes. um, so I saw one that kind of goes along with your chocolate gravy, and it's called possum pie.
Mm.
Now, this one is a dessert, and it's all over Arkansas, and I guess it's over some other places too because it has some other names. But the reason why it's called possum pie is because it represents something that it's not. It presents itself as something else, and it goes by things like 4-layer pie or striped delight or chocolate layer pie, because you don't know that it has chocolate in it. So it's one of those things where it's, hey, I'm going to show you this, but here's the other thing part of it. And I guess possums are pretty well known for playing dead and, presenting itself as dead, but still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So it consists typically of some cream cheese. It's got chocolate pudding. There's whipped cream and toasted pecans. And then it has a nice crust on the bottom. which is usually like not graham cracker, but it typically has like a flour, crusty, grated some type of base to it. Um, I think I would give that a try for sure.
Oh yeah.
If that was on the menu, I would be like, yeah, we're gonna do that.
And see, little behind the scenes here. When I was getting ready for this too, I pulled up possum pie as well, thinking it would just be like a chicken pot pie, and I was highly surprised that it was not.
Yeah, definitely not. I was thinking almost the same thing, where it was gonna be like that, where it's gonna have some vegetables and stuff, but no, I was definitely surprised.
Mm-hmm. So, well, we've kind of done an inappropriates here, where we had our desserts before we had our main course. All right, we were eating at Grandma's house, just how it be sometimes.
There's nothing wrong with eating dessert first, right?
Right.
You
But
could always
now,
take your main course home.
mhm, for the main course, good old Grandpappy brought out some duck gumbo and andouille sausage. Now, I
Duck
don't know about
gumbo.
you, but I've never had a gumbo I didn't like.
I think duck gumbo would be pretty good.
Right? And
Render out some of that fat.
yep. And see, one of the reasons that we landed on this is we were all kind of doing a little research, and we're like, what's something we haven't really talked about yet that's kind of like a staple food that maybe people don't get every day? And we landed on something that involved duck. And duck is just flying chicken.
With a little bit more
Yeah.
lean, I
Yeah.
guess.
So, um, but for your ingredients in this, you're gonna need a little bit. You're gonna need 1 cup vegetable oil, some boneless breast fillets from 6 ducks. You don't want to cube them up. 1 pound of andouille sausage sliced to 1/4 inch thick. 1 cup of flour. 1 1/2 cups of chopped green bell pepper. 1 1/2 cups of chopped onion. 1 cup chopped celery. 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. 1/2 pound of sliced okra. 2 1/4 quarts of water, 2 tablespoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of fresh ground black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper, 2 teaspoons of thyme, 5 bay leaves, and you're going to want to cook over long or medium grain white rice. And it's actually super simple from here. You want to get a large pot or a Dutch oven. Heat the vegetable oil up, add the duck meat and sausage, and brown them. Remove the brown meat to a bowl and reserve that. And then with everything else, you're going to make your roux, which is a staple of any gumbo here. You're going to sprinkle the flour into the hot oil a little at a time, stirring consistently until all the flour is incorporated over like a medium heat until it's caramel color brown. You're going to start adding everything and cook that for about 10 minutes while stirring constantly. Add your 1/4 cup of water and all the seasonings, mix thoroughly, and gradually add the rest of the water and the reserved meat pieces, stirring. Bringing to a boil, reduce the heat and simmer for about 2 hours. So the most important thing here is going to be just keeping everything going so you don't burn your ingredients. When you're done, remove the bay leaves and serve the gumbo in hot bowls over cooked rice. And for this recipe, it serves anywhere from 12 to 16.
I always think of Forrest Gump when he's talking about shrimp gumbo
Yep.
and all that other stuff. Whenever I hear it, I always think gumbo. Oh, look, Forrest Gump.
Yeah, that is such a good movie. That's a movie that
He's from Alabama, though. We've already talked about Alabama.
yeah, but that's a movie that puts your life in perspective. Like Forrest had a shitty life.
Yeah, unless you're Lieutenant Dan, because then he said, "Oh, you boys are from Little Rock, huh?
Yeah.
Arkansas is a nice little state."
Yeah. So, well, I think that's everything that I had to add. Did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I didn't have anything else for Arkansas. I think that's the
I
best
fucked up.
part.
So, in doing some research from Beer Advocate, now these aren't probably all locals in Arkansas, but just going to run down the top 5 most famous beers in Arkansas.
Okay.
All right. You get the BDCS from Ozark Brewing Company, which is a stout, with a APV of 10.20%.
Ooh, that's gonna give you a little bit of a buzz there.
Yep. You're gonna go at number 2, Onyx Coffee Stout from Ozark Beer and Company. It's another stout at 5.3%.
Not as bad.
Now going down to number 3, the 90 Night from Lost 40 Brewery. Again, another stout with a whopping 11.2% alcohol. Or ABV, sorry. And then number 4, we got the Trash Panda IPA from Lost 40 Brewing.
That's such a great name.
Right?
I love Trash Pandas.
So it's a New England style IPA with a 7.2% APV. And then at, you know what, I'm going to add number 6 in here too, but number 5 is a double IPA from Ozark Brewing Company. As you can see, like, these top 10 lists, if you get a great brewer, you can really rock these lists.
Yeah.
Another IPA Imperial style at 8.50. And then number 6, I'm adding in here just because it's something I know I would want to try. It's called Bourbon Love Honey, and it's a barrel-aged Bock from Lost 40 Brewery. It's a traditional Bock, and it's at 7.5%.
That sounds really good too. I'd definitely try that one.
Yeah, and then like if I go down, I mean, in the top 10, the only breweries I'm seeing are these Ozarks and these Lost 40s.
Yeah, they're probably the most popular ones in that state.
Yep. So, but I think that's all for this episode.
I think it is, man.
So, foodies, y'all, I hope you're learning with us. I hope, YouTube and iHeart and all the other algorithm gods out there stop holding our family hostages and you all can see these. So if you know somebody from Arkansas, show them this. Maybe we're right. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe there's stuff we forgot to cover here. But all in all, I think we're going to wrap it up. And I've been one of your hosts, the Meat Viking.
This is Professor Porkline. Yeah, Professor Porkline. So we are signing off.
Yeah, buddy.